I don't even see myself. I think it's curious to be called American in the international palette. I'm from Arizona. In fact, I think if you ever meet an American who's traveling, the first question you should ask him is what state is he from, and it instantly puts things in a much better perspective. The reality is most Americans don't know they're from America until they leave the country. When we're in the country, we're from our state. I'm from Arizona. I'm from California. I'm from Indiana. Go out of town, you're like, oh, you're from America, and suddenly you feel much more powerful than you have any right to feel. Oh, yes, now that you mention it, I'm from the whole place. Oh, yes. About time to get picked up. Like, since I got here, I've been to Singapore once a long time ago and don't remember much about it. And this time around, I've been paying more attention, and the first thing that struck me was you seem to love peanuts a lot. There's peanuts everywhere. Every meal here is served with peanuts, no matter what. And at first I thought it was weird, and then I thought it was delightful, and then I started thinking, wow, you must not really have a problem with people that are allergic to peanuts. That, or you're weeding them out. I'm sensing a theme with that as well. The next thing I noticed, this is my new delight in Singapore, is digital timers at the crosswalks on the corner. That's exciting. Because I used to never really know how long it took me to cross the street. And so this morning it was taking me about 17 seconds. But by this afternoon I got it down to 9 seconds. That's my personal best. Feeling good about that. Nice. Seriously. But I noticed there's no like beepers or horns to give the blind people any suggestion that it's safe to cross. And then I started thinking that between this crosswalk technique and the way you drive, that's why I have seen no blind people at all. You have lots of escalators here. You seem to haven't really picked a gauge of escalator, though. You seem to have some escalators that make room for two people side by side, so that thus a walkway can go for the faster, more shopping-oriented people, as opposed to those that just like the joy of an escalator ride. It's the weightlessness of the shopping mall. And then they suddenly go back down to one, where you have to just wait. Serious. Have you ever been to Hong Kong and ridden the world's longest escalator? 2 kilometers of escalator. Have you been on the ride, sir? Were you, in a word, disappointed? It is disappointing. Very disappointing. I read about this in a tourist book and went, oh my God, a 2-kilometer escalator, that has got to be the coolest thing I'm ever going to do in my life. Imagine 2 pure kilometers of escalation. So for 3 days, I would go to the various shopping malls and just train on smaller escalators, building up the escalation in my legs, much like a marathon runner will before the big day. And then you get there, and it turns out it's actually just a series of normal escalators over a 2-kilometer range. And you can't even get the sense of the scale, because even outside in Hong Kong, one escalator is shrouded in pop pollution from halfway up. You're just kind of drifting into a cloud. And then it ends. Done. No, this is not 2 kilometers. I can't have been 2 kilometers. Oh, no, sir. You'll take one step to the right and continue the magic. But if you got to the top, did you slip and fall down? That's 2 kilometers of rolling. That doesn't stop. Medical insurance is your friend. All I have to say about that. It's nice. That's all I've seen about Singapore, by the way. You have escalators, you have shops. You apparently think that Starbucks coffee is the king of coffee, from what I can tell. You like the Starbucks? You seem to like them. You seem to have built one every 3rd block. I always wonder, sometimes when things are that close together, I think that there is actually a heavy marijuana operation going on, even though you pretend there isn't. Because when not many of the same shop is built so close together, it's almost trying to grab the mindset of the stoner. As if you might walk past the first Starbucks thinking, do I want a coffee? No, I don't want a coffee. Oh, wait a minute, I want a coffee. Oh, that's too far to go back. Hey! How lucky is that? But it's been fun. It's been a very excellent holiday. It looks like a job, but it's not really a job. My second wife and I, we have 3 children, and this is my little 5 days away from daddyhood, and thank you for that. That is a break daddy needed. It's nuts. I've got a 6-year-old son. He's my trouble spot at the moment, because he's finally, at 6 years old, bringing life into focus. Right? Because as a comic, sort of discipline and role modeling isn't something that really comes in the job description. Just the very fact that I work at night, I'm home all day with him every day, and that alone causes confusion. We live in a very normal suburb, and every day he looks out the picture window of our house and he sees all the normal short-haired fathers in town getting into their cars and driving off to work. And you see the confusion in his face. He looks back at me every morning, "Daddy, where are they going?" Man, I got no idea. How creepy is it? Come on, put your pajamas back on and let's play some Xbox. If we don't get to level 7, Mama's going to be annoyed with us. And the biggest problem with discipline is the fact that I don't see things in terms of right and wrong. I see things in terms of funny and not funny. My wife, on the other hand, is much more traditional. And these philosophies clash. Like just a couple of weeks ago, we had a knock on the front door, and my son opened the door, and it turns out it was the Jehovah's Witnesses. Right? And my son, for reasons unknown to me, decided to drop his pants and wag his cock at them. See my dilemma? My wife was like, "You have got to tell him that is wrong." It's so funny. It's not even accidentally funny. It's like perfect funny. It's like right timing, right target. It all comes together. "You tell him that is wrong." "Well, we'll compromise. Son, if it's the Red Cross, we don't do it. But if it's these fuckers, you go for your life." And granted, sometimes I get it really wrong, and I know that I got it wrong. Like about a month ago, I took him to see the new Batman movie, The Dark Knight. Have you seen this movie? Right. Now, at the time, I did not realize it was not a movie for a 6-year-old kid. Right? I didn't know much about Batman. I'm not a big Batman fan. The last time I saw Batman was when Michael Keaton was in the role, and Batman wore like a suit that made him a paraplegic. He couldn't even turn his head. "Is that you behind me, Riddler?" The things had obviously gotten more extreme, and I didn't realize it happened. But when the movie came out, all the advertising was aimed at kids. There was Batman toys for the kids, and there were Happy Meals at McDonald's with Batman toys. And the final one that made me go, "Oh, great," was we were in the store, and he got a box of breakfast cereal. He came running over and went, "Daddy, look, this breakfast cereal has a Batman toy in it. Can I have it?" And well, of course he can. Then we got home, and of course he dives into the box, gets the toy out, right, and then starts to walk away. I'm like, "Hey, where are you going? You got to come back here and eat some of this cereal." He's like, "Oh no, I hate that cereal." I know, the toy is like a bonus. You eat the cereal, get the toy, that's how it works. No, I really hate the cereal. But at this point, I thought maybe it surely is a kid's movie, so I take him to see the film. Now, if you haven't seen the film, it opens with a very violent bank heist. Right? Guns going off, bank being robbed. At this point, I'm realizing I've made a mistake. Right? But I'm also thinking he might not know what's going on. I bank online. He's never been in a bank. He might not know. I try to ignore, but finally, at the end of this big bank heist, we meet the Joker for the first time. The Joker steps out of a van, walks up to a guy on the floor, and sticks a grenade in his mouth. At this, my son's eyes go wide with horror. He looked up at me, "Daddy, why is that man doing that to him?" Well, you don't want to lose an educational opportunity. "You know why? Because he didn't eat the cereal." That's what happens. And then we get home, right? And my wife's like freaking out. She's like, "You didn't take him to that movie. Are you going to give him nightmares?" I'm like, "Nothing's fine. I'm sure he didn't understand anything that happened." "Why is he eating so much cereal?" I think he just likes it. I've also got, besides him, I've got 2 daughters. I've got twin daughters who are 3 years old. Identical twin daughters. Extremely identical. So identical that sometimes I'm not sure if I actually have 2 babies or if I've got one baby that moves very fast. I'm embarrassed to admit this, but I actually have no idea which one is which. I used to think that my son would figure it out and I would follow his lead. But sadly, he's picked up on my bad habits, so now we have our own little shorthand. If something goes wrong, he's suddenly in the room, Daddy, the purple baby's in trouble." It's difficult, right? It's difficult. Last year at the comedy festival, last year, I had the whole family in the hotel room. And the main thing, if you have children, especially if you have multiple young children, the main thing as a parent you're constantly doing is scanning the area to make sure that they're all nearby, right? But twins throw the scan off. You know, it's like one morning I'm just making breakfast for them all, and you start to scan. And like, oh, there's the boy, there's one of the twins, there's the other twin, there's the boy. And of course, at this point, the phone rings. It's the lobby. He wants to know why my 3-year-old is trying to check out. Now, I feel bad with this story because it shows that I let her out of the room. And that's true, I did. She somehow got away from me and got out of the hotel room. But the floor of the hotel is still self-contained. I want to know who pushed the button for her in the elevator. She can't reach. Who gets into an elevator with a 3-year-old and goes, lobby? Here, let me help you with your bag. And the biggest problem, again, from a discipline point of view, is that my son, right, having young sisters, my daughter's his sisters, is they fight, you know, they always fight. And I shouldn't shut that down, but sometimes, you know, he hits one in a way that leaves a mark. And that's very handy. My wife comes home, oh my God, what happened to Ava? Ava.
Got that sort of thing.
Now, last year I took the grandkids back to visit the family. And this is when I realized that I had lived in Australia so long that I had taken on a great deal of their sensibility. And I had forgotten much that goes on in my country. You know, went back, it was September last year, right? On September 11th of last year, my father and I went to see a baseball game, right? I was fully aware that it was September 11th. I knew that at the baseball game they would take notice of the date. I assumed a minute of silence and then play ball. Right? What I did not expect was 40,000 American baseball fans, every single one of them, to have a T-shirt on that commemorated the date. Everybody's T-shirt was New York Fire Department or New York Police Department or a big American flag. Me, not thinking, I just casually tossed on one of my old American Comedy Club T-shirts. My shirt said, I thought it was funny. I mean, on the back it said, at the Comedy Club. I thought it was funny at the Comedy Club. I'm just walking around the concourse trying to get a hot dog, and everybody that sees me, he's like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. What? Oh. Doesn't say hilarious. Funny, weird. So I called my best friend since grade 2. I called him the next day to tell him what I did. Dude, can you believe I did that? How funny is that? You know, dude, that's not funny at all. I said, no, seriously, just by the rules of comedy, you know, expectation versus juxtaposition, I think that's quite funny. You know, dude, I'll tell you what, if you think that's funny, you are no longer American. But I was upset, so you know what I did? I went around to his house, and I shot him. Who's back in the club now?